Sahanā bhavatu sahanau bhunaktu sah vīryaṁ karavāvahai tejasvinavadītamastu mā vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. So in the last class, we saw verses 15 through 17, where we discussed about plurality, spatial division, and temporal division. Now today, in the verses that we are going to see today, Ramana Maharshi establishes that I, the ātmā, becomes the ahankara due to ignorance alone. Not knowing my true nature, I identify with my body and its limitations. Then I become the jiva, functioning with ahankara. This is what happens. So this ahankara is first a product of ignorance. And this ahankara is a foundation on which everything gets built. We mean time, space, and plurality when we say everything. All that comes about because of this foundation of ahankara. Time, space, plurality building is built on the flimsy foundation of ahankara. And that itself is sitting on the shaky ground of ignorance. So the time-space plurality is the cause for samsara. As the individual, as the jiva, I feel limited, constrained to a particular location. I have the urge to move, to reach out, to communicate to others. I want to be in many places with different people. And then there is also the tyranny of space. This second struggle I go through is because of this time. So much pressure we experience based on time. I have such a long to-do list. I don't have enough time to do it. And there is a deadline for each one of those items. Constantly stressed out. Time pressure causes so much tension. All this is there. Constantly stressed out. Of course, there is the ravage of time in terms of old age, disease, death. Worry about all that. All this is because of time. So space and time cause this samsara and all the divisions. There is raga-dvesha because of this division. There is jealousy. I compare myself to somebody else who I think is different from me. And this causes asuya, jealousy. Any comparison requires duality. Otherwise, time, space, and division causes, all that together causes samsara. And all these are due to ignorance, resting on me, covering my true nature. My true nature is ātmā. That is covered. So if we want to tackle this samsara, we must not attack the world, but attack the ahankara and the underlying ignorance. So that is what is said in the next verse. So let us read verse number 18. Bhāti dikkāla-kathā vinā'smān. Vabhāti dikkāla-kathā vinā'smān. Dikkāla-līleha vapurvayaṁ chet. Dikkāla-līleha vapurvayaṁ chet. Na kvāpi bhāmo, na kadāpi bhāmo. Na kvāpi bhāmo, na kadāpi bhāmo. Vayaṁ tu sarvatra sadā bhāmaḥ. Vayaṁ tu sarvatra sadā bhāmaḥ. Together. Vabhāti dikkāla-kathā vinā'smān. Dikkāla-līleha vapurvayaṁ chet. Na kvāpi bhāmo, na kadāpi bhāmo. Vayaṁ tu sarvatra sadā bhāmaḥ. Asmān vina, without I. Dikkāla-kathā kvāpi. Where is the possibility of dikkāla-kathā? Where is the question of space and time? Dik and kala. Dik, space, kala, time. All these discussions, all these transactions, everything that we do requires this space and time specification. I should be there at that time. This is desha-kala-vyavahara. This is the transaction in time and space. Dikkāla-kathā bhāti. Can we experience any transaction, anything at all, anything that relates to space and time? Asmān vina, without ahankara, can that take place? It seems that way, but all those activities are based on the subject aham, the chaitanyam. Without chaitanyam, the consciousness, the desha, kala, vyavahara, ahankara also is not there. If you want to understand this idea, just take the dream example. Everything in the dream space, the dream time, the dream objects, all that plurality in the dream, all that is only the dreamer mind projecting. The dreamer is just the projection of the waker. The dreamer also, it's also a projection from the waker's mind, from the impressions that were gathered in the waking mind, that rests in the waker's mind, that gets projected in the dream. It seems that I take up the dreamer I identity and then experience everything that is there in the dream space, the dream time, and every objects, so many things in the dream. Extend the same idea to the waking world, and we can understand very easily what Bhagavan says in this verse. There are two types of I, the original I, the consciousness, and the other I confined to, limited by, circumscribed by the body. The original I, the ātmā, and then there is this identified I, which is the ahankara. When ātmā comes down to the ahankara level, it causes all this desha, kala, vyavahara. All the transactions, all the empirical world that is defined by this space and time. So that is said here, vayaṁ vapuhu chet. Vapuhu means the body. Vayaṁ, we. If we identify with this body, when the pure consciousness gets identified with this body. The moment I fall down from the original I, from the limitless I, the ātmā, when we come down to this limited I, from the substratum I to the imposter I, and that is the fall into samsara. Vapuhu, body here, all three bodies, body, mind and intellect. The gross, subtle and causal body. Okay. Don't just think of the physical body. Okay. So the Lord also associates with the body when he takes avatara. When Bhagavan comes down, takes down, incarnates himself, takes avatara, he is also a human being at that time. He gets embodied. He has consciously descended down with the knowledge, and that ahankara is only for transaction, and he knows that very well, and he plays that role so well. Then it is called avatara. Ajopisan avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropisan prakritim swamadhisthaya sambhavami ātmā-māyaya. Bhagavan says, the 4th chapter, I also get embodied. I play the role of Rama and Krishna. But I never forget that is all for transactions in this avatar. Then all that becomes Leela, a sport. That's why the birth is called avatara. Our birth is called reincarnation. Leela is a sport. There's no struggle there. For us, this ahankara, it's not a mithya. We take it to be real. And the real, original Chaitanyam, Atma, is totally covered by ignorance. This is the problem. What is real, we cover it. Have no clue about that. And whatever is illusion, we take it to be real. And we suffer. Disease, old age, death, all that cause worries. The thought of losing dear and near ones causes panic. When the paramarthika satyam is veiled, the mithya ahankara is taken to be real paramarthika satyam. So Bhagavan says, vayaṁ vapuhu ched, if you have identified with your body, mind and intellect, now became the ahankara, then starts all this dikkāla-līleha, the play of time and space. Struggle of samsara begins. Fight against diseases, old age, death, and all kinds of insecurities. All that becomes serious problems. Can I do? So, what is the solution? The solution is to get to the root of the problem. As long as ahankara is there in the waking state, the tyranny of space and time will continue. Ahankara is also there in the dream state. And the dream world, space and time and plurality are all there. And the tyranny of the dream world, that is also there. The dreamer is experiencing, the waker is not experiencing. The dreamer who is identified with the dream, he experiences that. Thank God, in deep sleep, this ahankara is temporarily not there. Therefore, there is no torture of space, time, and plurality. So use this experience, and by the method of anvaya vyatireka, presence and absence, logic of presence and absence, we can deduce that ahankara is the mischief maker. When that ahankara is there, as in waking and dream state, there is a problem. When that ahankara is temporarily suspended in the deep sleep state, there is no samsara. Therefore, who is making all this mischief? It's ahankara. So the cause of samsara is ahankara. So this is the first stage. Then the second stage is to find out what is the cause of that ahankara. That cause is deha abhimana, ignorance caused by body identification. That is what one says here as vayaṁ vapuhu che. I am the body notion. That's the cause of ahankara. So remove the false notion by the right knowledge. That jnanam, that knowledge is mano buddhya hankara chittani naham. I am not this body. I am not this mind. I am not the sense organs. Then who am I? Chidananda rupaha shivoham shivoham. I am that consciousness, bliss. I am of the nature of that consciousness, bliss. That is what I am. This knowledge is the only solution. So to get this knowledge, you go to a Shrotriya Brahmanishta Guru, a teacher, and through Shastra Pramana, you get the knowledge. What will I know? That is said in the next line. Na kvāpi bhāmaḥ. I, the ātmā, do not exist in any particular place. Na kvāpi bhāmaḥ. So with this knowledge, I get rid of spatial limitation. Then, na kadāpi bhāmaḥ. Kadāpi, time-wise. The time specification is also not there. I do not exist in any particular time. When there is no such thing as space or time, these questions are moot. When and where do we exist? So that is said here as vayaṁ tu sarvatra sadā bhāmaḥ. We exist everywhere and at all times. Accepting space and time, we, the original ātmā, sarvatra bhāmaḥ, we exist everywhere. In fact, space exists in us. Tasmād eva etasmād ātmana ākāṣas sambūdah ākāṣād vāyuh. We saw in Taittiriya Upanishad. What a declaration. From me, ātmā alone, the space is born. And from there, everything, boom, 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 boom. In me alone, the space exists. So, sarvatra bhāmaḥ and sadā bhāmaḥ, in all three periods of time, eternally, I exist. So, from this line, na kvāpi bhāmo, na kadāpi bhāmo, vayaṁ tu sarvatra sadā bhāmaḥ. What is implied is this I. So when I say this I, don't go looking for any point to yourself. I, the ātmā, the truth, the existence consciousness is not conditioned by space and time. This is again beautifully said in Bhagavad Gita. Nitya sarvagadas-thanuhu achaloyam sanatana. Then avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchate. Also, na jayate mriyate va kadāchit. Nāyam bhūtva bhavita va na bhūyah. All these verses, they just not for chanting alone. They should be studied, understood, and lived. These are all facts about me. So, vayaṁ tu sarvatra sadā ca bhāmaḥ. The problem is with regard to that little I. So the solution is also with regard to me only. Never try to tackle the problems outwardly, on the outside. Start the attack of yourself. See yourself as ahamasmi sada bhāmi kadāchinnaha mapriyaha brahmaivaha mataha siddham satchidananda pakshanam. We saw that in Advaita Maharanta. This is what we need to see. This is how we need to understand. This is what the core of the teaching is. This is Saddarsanam. Now, people have very strange and funny ideas about a man of realization. The one who has this Saddarsanam, the vision of the truth. People have all kinds of ideas about such a man. Such a man should be like this only and not that. If he looks ordinary or like any other person, they doubt if he's really realized. Some people think that he should be in utter silence. Man should be totally silent, should not speak. Then some others say, no, you should be very dynamic. Share the knowledge with everyone. Some think he should live in utter austerity. If he lives in comforts, then he cannot be enlightened. A householder cannot have realization, they think. Only a sannyasi can. Still others think that a householder who is realized is greater than a sannyasi. Some think he should be an eccentric. It is true, realized masters come in all these forms. That's the problem. From outer appearance, you can never say whether a person is wise or otherwise. Some people think that women cannot get realization. What can you say? Some women think they are born enlightened, and only men need all this. All kinds of, funny ideas. External features are totally meaningless. So in the next two verses, what he said is, what is important is the vision. It is not how you look at him, it is how he looks at the world and everything and everyone there. So if you want to be that kind of a jnani, you work on your vision. That is what is going to be talked about. What is the difference between an enlightened man and an ignorant individual? Outwardly, you cannot tell the difference. What that vision should be. What that vision should be about oneself. What that vision should be about the world. Let us see that. Verse number 19. Dehātmabhāve jña-jaḍau samānau. Dehātmabhāve jña-jaḍau samānau. ekasya dehe hṛdi dīpta ātmā. Ekasya dehe hṛdi dīpta ātmā. ākramya dehaṁ jagacca pūrṇaḥ. ākramya dehaṁ jagacca pūrṇaḥ. parasya meyaṁ tanumatramatmā. parasya meyaṁ tanumatramatmā. Together. dehātmabhāve jña-jaḍau samānau. ekasya dehe hṛdi dīpta ātmā. ākramya dehaṁ jagacca pūrṇaḥ. parasya meyaṁ tanumatramatmā. This is a very important verse. Dehātmabhāve, experiencing a particular body. In that identification with the body as myself, then I experience, I think that I am different from all other bodies. I perceive, I see other bodies with my sense organs. Therefore, there is a mediate experience. That experience is through a medium. And my experience of myself is immediate. Immediate without any medium. I do not need any medium for myself experience. But to experience something, somebody else, I need a medium. Further, I can only perceive certain aspects of the other bodies. I look at you. I look at your physical body. And what is running through your mind? I have no clue. But my experience of myself is there in all aspects. I can see my body. I can see what is going on in my mind. So this is the difference. I do not need any other medium for my experience. The experience of myself. I don't need any medium. If a mosquito bites you, I can see the insect biting you, but I cannot perceive the pain that you have. I do not have access to your feelings, emotions, thoughts, and hopes. When a mosquito bites me, I can feel the pain. I know all my feelings, emotions, thoughts, my hopes, my aspirations. My experience about myself is complete. So this is called dehātmabhāve, the intimate, immediate experience of my body as myself. So Bhagavan says, this dehātmabhāve is common to jnani and ajnani. This experience is common to the wise man as well as the ignorant man. It's a very, very important point to be noted. His bodily experience, intimate, immediate, physical, biological, emotional, all that, intellectual, is there for both jnani and ajnani. Jnani will continue to feel a particular body as the own body only. And that body will feel hunger and thirst, tiredness. He will go to sleep. Do not have the confusion that he should not feel hungry or he should not be thirsty. He should not feel tired. Because he identifies with the universe, all these things not there in him. No, don't have such ideas. So Ramana Maharshi gives the answer very clearly here. Jnani will continue to have all the biological experiences. If he has some sickness or disease, his body will feel the pain. His body will not feel the pain in other bodies. All that is there. With reference to biological experiences, jnanam will not make a difference. So don't be under the wrong idea that jnani should not have any biological experiences. If you prick yourself with a pen and you don't feel the pain, it does not become you have become a jnani. On the contrary, it may mean you have a serious health condition. If you are diabetic, you prick yourself and you don't feel anything, you better go to the doctor, have it checked out. You have not become a jnani. So Bhagavan sets aside all such misconceptions and says here, jña-jaḍau samānau. Jña, ajnani, and the jada, ajnani, both are samana, same with regard to deha, ātmā, bhāva, in their experience of their body and its biological functions, physiological functions such as hunger, thirst, sleep, pain, sickness, old age, death, all that. Vedanta or jnanam will not solve these problems related to all that. Vedanta will give you relief for the emotional, intellectual pain and suffering. Your response to physical pain is samsara. Psychological pain, which is a response to the physical pain, sorrow, that is emotional suffering, that can be relieved through jnana. A child cries out in pain because it is not mature enough or strong enough to withstand the pain. Little boo-boo, the child starts crying. The same bruise comes to you, you are not crying. There is pain. Okay. Adult experiencing the same physical pain does not cry. He may be able to rationalize this pain is temporary and it will pass and all that. Whereas a little child going through that goes through much more of a trauma emotionally. And this adult that we talk about, he may be able to withstand some of these physical pain. But the same adult, if the pain is caused by a serious life-threatening disease, like an incurable cancer, may undergo tremendous emotional distress. So it also depends on what kind of pain it is. So much of emotional stress and terrible worry, all that is possible. And then when something happens to the welfare of his dependents, the near and dear ones, he goes through tremendous emotions, pain. A jnani is immune to such psychological trauma. Given you so many examples. Examples about Tapovan Maharaj, example of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, example of Ramana Maharshi. How they went through the physical pain, but not the emotional pain. So what is common to jnani and ajnani is the physical suffering, etc., but not the difference is in the emotional pain. every experience leads to a conclusion. This is an intellectual process. Everyone sees the sun rise and the sun sets. From that experience, you may come to a conclusion that the sun travels around the earth. This is not an experience, but a conclusion. And it happens to be an erroneous conclusion. Right? Everybody, each one of us experience sunrise and sunset. That's a universal experience. But the conclusion, what we conclude from that experience. When I study science, little bit of astronomy, little bit of planetary motions and all that, I change my conclusion. I reevaluate my conclusion. I reevaluate all things that are associated with the experience and revise the conclusion and say, hey, wait a minute, it is not the sun moving around the earth, but it is the earth that is moving. I now know that with this movement and the earth rotation on its own axis, I experience the sunrise and sunset, and that too at different times in the day. And that gives rise to all the season and all that. The revision takes place in the intellect. And after that, will I experience sunrise and sunset? Yes, definitely. That experience does not change. But the conclusion based on that experience-based wrong conclusion, experience-based erroneous conclusion is revised. That's all. So the wise and the ignorant have the same body experience, but the response is different. The ignorant man has so much identification with the body, so when the body suffers, his emotional suffering is also. The wise man is not identified with the body, and therefore he doesn't suffer the emotional pain. This is the difference. Vedanta does not try, and nor can it change the physical changes in one's body. But it teaches us, in spite of these changes, in spite of those problems, despite even the final change that we call death, you as existence consciousness will survive. This is a change brought about in the intellect, in my knowledge. So Vedanta does not make any change, no experiential change, but it brings about a cognitive change. If anybody says it is only an intellectual knowledge, that is really what you need. Ramana Maharshi very emphatically says, dehātmabhāve jña-jaḍau samānau. In terms of physical experiences, the wise and ignorant. The change is for ekasya. The first one, jnani, the wise, ātmā dehe dīpta. The Chaitanya ātmā conscious is evident in the body. For the wise person, the meaning of the word I is not the body, but the consciousness that shines in the body. So you should always remember the 5 points I have mentioned this a few times. 5 points related to existence and consciousness. I will repeat it here. It is not a product, part, or property of the body. That existence and consciousness is not a product, not a part, not the property of the body. It is an independent entity. And that pervades and enlivens the body. It is not limited by the boundaries of the body. It survives the death of the body. And when it goes, when the body goes, it is not available. It is there, it survives, but it's not available for transaction. That's all. That existence, consciousness, I am. So for a jnani, the wise man, ātmā, the self is dīpta, evident. Dehe, in the body. Even in the body, hṛdi, in the heart. Here heart means the mind. As the witness of the presence and absence of God. Jnani says, I am not the body, but I am the consciousness in the body, in the mind, aware of the presence as well as the absence of thought, or as we saw in Kenopanishad, pratibodha viditam matam. Further, dehaṁ ca jagacca, ākramya, not only in the body. Dehaṁ ca jagacca, I remain, ākramya, pervading. Dehaṁ ca, pervade the body, my own body, but also jagat, the whole universe. I pervade everything. Does not mean I am going to experience your physical hunger and thirst. I will experience physically only my body needs and pain. So dehaṁ ca jagacca ākramya means I am pūrṇaḥ. I am all pervading. This being all pervasive is not experiential, but he is not going to be physically present in every place at the same time. He'll be where he is. He also experiences limitations, but he does not attribute all that limitations to himself. He knows the limitations belong to this body. It does not belong to I, the subject. The knowledge falsifies the experience. The experiences continue. So do not have any misconceptions about this idea. Any experience needs the experiencer and the experienced. And the experience, the triputi will be there. Okay, that is there. But as said before, what this knowledge gives is as a matter of cognition. And not experience. Therefore, ekasya, jñāninaha, the jnani, the wise ātmā, I is understood as free from all these limitations. So the difference is like this. We have seen in 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvan na karayan sarvakarmani manasa sanyas aste sukham vashi. He lives in the body. No question about it. But he does not live as the body. The ignorant man lives in the body as the body. The wise man lives in the body but not as the body. That is the difference. The wise man at the verbal level may say, I am sitting, I am coming, and all that. Not different from an ignorant man. The verbal expressions are the same. But in his knowledge, he knows, I am the ātmā. The body and the mind and the sense organs conduct all actions with the sense of individuality. But it is the Chaitanya that is shining. And that is what I am. So what happens at the body level or the level of the mind or the intellect, I am not affected. I am ever asangah, unattached. That knowledge ever shines. That is the difference. This is the antakarana nishtha. The totally ignorant man thinks he is the body. The one that has a little amount of thinking says, no, no, no. I am ātmā in the body. But his idea of ātmā is the individual. So, he says, I am this body having this one ātmā. Little bit knowledgeable person. But the truly realized, the wise man says, I am the self having this limited body. Do you see the difference? This is the difference. 3 different levels. This parasya for the other, ajnani for the other means, talked about jnani, for the other means ajnani for the ignorant. The wrong conclusion based on experience continues. Tanumatram ātmā. Only the body is, tanu means body, tanumatram, body only is ātmā. This is the wrong conclusion based on his experience. The ignorant just goes by his experiences. The experience is meyam tanumatram. I am this meyam, measurable, limited body. I am limited in the common experience of both the voice. That I am limited is the common experience of both the wise and the ignorant, but that limitation is attributable to what? Any such an experience is a mithya, fiction for the wise, while satyam for the ignorant. That is the difference. The ātmā says, I am Satchidananda ātmā. The wise says that I am not the gross or the subtle body. I am free from all their attributes, properties, and their limitation. Whatever happens to them does not affect me. Beautifully said in Atma Bodha. Dehānyatvat na me janma jagacca layādaya. Since I am different from the body, the birth, growth, decay, and death do not belong to me. Similarly, I am different from the senses, mind, and intellect, and ahankara. So the world experiences do not bind me. The jnani is ever free. Jnani is bound because he gives reality to all this in the world experience. That is the difference. Do not expect any experiential change after the study of Vedanta, after realization. If you look for any such extraterrestrial experiences, you will be very disappointed. Experience is no different, but the vision, that is different. That is the vision of the truth. That is Saddarsanam. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.